Birds were soaring in the sky. The Ares Empire appeared in sight. The statue came into view. It stood in the center of the plaza. Moving straight forward, the guard questioned if it was too silent here. Breathing heavily, the man asked what was silent. He said that nobody knew when the rebels would begin acting again. Clenching his jaw, he added that they were just simple rural folks. What uprising? Curse them. To which the guy responded that it was true. Smiling, the guard said that everything had been calm lately. Perhaps they understood that their small revolt was useless. Lifting his head, the man replied that he was correct. The Imperial Knights had likely handled them. The statue appeared, and it was said that it hoped that everything would stay like this in the future. A torch lit up the room. Standing by the desk, the knight declared that tonight they would assassinate the emperor and ruin the empire. Tightening his fist, he added that this was the only way to bring back the kingdom. The knights gazed at him quietly. The boy nodded when he heard this. Looking directly ahead, the man said that he had the most critical job. The knight stood still when he heard his name. Frowning, the man said that he was required to guard the hidden manuscript at all costs. The knight nodded his head. Looking straight ahead, Logan said that he understood. Suddenly, the knight entered the chamber. The boy glanced at Logan. Grinning, he said that he was definitely a loyalist. Turning away, Logan asked what was happening, to which the knight replied that he was talking about the hidden manuscript. A book appeared. It was said that many people gave their lives to obtain it and protect it from the Empire, since the manuscript was under his care. It meant that he was the first one the Empire's soldiers would target. Raising his hand, the boy said that he would be required to take risks to fulfill his duty. Turning away, Logan replied that he spoke as if he had willingly agreed, to which he said that he knew it was because of his skill in the old language. But he didn't even grumble, and this is a sign of loyalty. The knight looked in surprise, hearing that he was quiet, with his words indirectly offending their other comrades. Looking straight, the guy said that it was not about loyalty at all. Frowning, he added that it was about vengeance. A strike hit the head. The idea came that he was a useless person. The guy held a blade in his hands. It was said that very young Master Logan lost to his younger brother, Ran. Ran looked frightened and turned to his brother. It was said that he only started using a blade 3 years ago. Right, he is a prodigy. The hero lay on the ground, and someone said that young Master Logan has been practicing to become a knight for 10 years. The protagonist's eyes widened, and he heard that this fool was the oldest son. He gripped the weapon tightly, hearing that the future of the Mlane family was quite grim. The man grabbed the desk and asked what paralyzing toxin was. He reached his hand out to the side and shouted that he had poisoned his own brother and had lost his mind. Logan put his hands behind his back, hearing that if Rand did not recover, the man clenched his jaw tightly. The hero frowned, hearing that he should leave this place, and the idea came that he was going mad with a sense of inferiority and had hurt his brother. Standing by the window, the father said that he was no longer his son. It was said that for this crime, he was banished from the family. That was who he was. The protagonist walked forward, and the idea came that by leaving home, he had become a hired soldier. Logan rushed forward. The idea struck him that it took 10 years of hard effort for him to realize what a terrible person he used to be. The hero looked at the flames. It was said that it was too late. Then, raising her hand, the girl asked what she heard. The protagonist was strolling down the street. It was said that it seemed there would be a public execution in the plaza today. Logan froze, hearing that the prisoner's name was Mlane. He lifted his leg. The hero turned around suddenly. Hearing that Raniant, the protagonist, rushed forward. It was said that he was an aura user who battled against the Empire on the front lines. The royal family scattered in all directions. Yes, he was defeated. The image of his brother appeared. The idea came that no, he had to tell him something, so he asked. Running forward, Logan thought that he would survive. Blood was dripping down the blade. The hero opened his eyes in shock. Looking straight ahead, the man shouted that they should watch. Lifting his head, he added that such a fate met the fool who dared to rebel against the Empire. The protagonist clenched his jaw and thought about what he had vowed to avenge. Frowning, he added that he would take vengeance on the Empire for killing his family and for taking away his chance to ask for forgiveness. A building appeared, and it was said that it was behind it. Looking straight ahead, the knight shouted that it was him. Logan ran forward quickly, and it was said that the red-haired man had the hidden manuscript. Suddenly, the hero looked up in shock. He froze in front of the wall. Entering the building, the man shouted that he was here. Grabbing his blade, the protagonist said, "Curse it." The knight rushed forward and shouted for him to perish. Logan blocked his strike. Frowning, he exclaimed. The man swung his blade and gasped. He frowned and shouted angrily. Looking straight ahead, the knight shouted, "What a scoundrel." The hero skillfully dodged his strike. He hit the man and thought, "Another." The knight swung his weapon sharply. The protagonist extended his blade toward him and thought, "And more." Logan clenched his jaw and thought, he should kill more Imperial scoundrels. He frowned. Suddenly, the hero abruptly stopped. Standing around him, the knights shouted, "Over there, let them surround him. How dare he steal the Empire's treasure? Let him surrender and give the manuscript." The protagonist looked away and thought, he is fated to die here. He grinned. Looking straight ahead, Logan said, "Then there is no choice." He held the orb in his hands. Suddenly the hero abruptly crushed it. Smiling, he said, "They will perish together." Looking at the glow, the men asked again. Suddenly, a bright light shone from the window. A rumble was heard in the tower. The protagonist was in zero gravity. Thinking that his life was filled with regrets, he lived for vengeance. At least he was glad that he managed to defeat the Imperial scoundrels. But from his biggest regret, he closed his eyes and added that he could not escape even after death. He had to ask for forgiveness. Reaching his hand forward, Logan thought that it would be fortunate if he could meet his family in the afterlife. A bright light appeared. It was said that he would be able to apologize to everyone. Suddenly, the hero opened his eyes in shock. Clenching his jaw, he thought his head was splitting. The protagonist opened his eyes wide and thought, how is this possible if he died? He looked away, hearing that he was fine. Looking straight, Logan said that he was. Looking at him, the guy said that Rick, his main servant, asked how he felt. Reaching his hand forward, the hero thought that Rick had died 30 years ago and then asked why he was alive. Rick exclaimed in fear. Opening his eyes wide, he shouted that it looked like he had a bad head injury. Let them call a healer. The protagonist looked away in confusion. He opened his eyes in shock. The knight was holding a shield in his hands. There was a banner hanging on the wall. The idea struck that the emblems of his house were everywhere. Raising his eyebrows, Logan thought that he was dreaming. The guy entered the room and turned. The hero opened his eyes wide, hearing that he was fine, to which he thought that this voice. The brother walked forward. It was said that Ranian, the younger brother, looked down. Ran clenched his fist tightly. The idea struck that he remembered. Sitting on the bed, the protagonist thought that this moment, it happened after their first duel. A pillow flew at the guy. The idea came that he had lost to his younger brother. And when he came to visit him, reaching his hand forward, Logan shouted that he was just the child of a mistress. The guy looked at him with disappointment. It was said that despite all the insults, Ran got used to following him everywhere. But after that day he stopped coming. The brother turned to him in shock. Raising his hand, Rick said that the young master needed rest, asked to return to himself. It was said that everything was fine. Looking straight ahead, the servant turned. The hero grinned and said that he should come. The guy looked at him in shock. The servant looked up in confusion. Lowering his head, Rand said that he should forgive. He should have been more careful. To which the protagonist replied that everything was really fine. He should not apologize. Smiling, he added that he did nothing wrong. He should. Clenching his jaw, Logan mumbled something. Looking at him, the brother asked what was wrong. He really should rest more. He looked at him in shock. It was said that even such a good guy had his life taken away. The hero put his hand to his face, thinking about how he had fought on the front lines under the orders of the kingdom and died. The protagonist sat on the bed. He put his hands on the boy's shoulders. Raising his eyebrows, Logan apologized. Clenching his jaw, he said that he was very guilty. The hero hugged him, and the guy asked why he was crying. Rand looked away. Tears appeared in his eyes. The protagonist hugged him tightly. The doors opened slightly. It was said that then, grinning, his brother said that he would visit him again. Closing his eyes, Logan replied that it was good. Let him go and rest. The heroes silently looked forward. Turning around, he thought that if this was not a dream, there was a banner on the tower. A thought came that he really had returned to the past. Frowning, the protagonist thought that something needed to change. He looked in shock, hearing the appeal. The girl bowed and apologized. Looking straight ahead, Logan asked, "What for?" Grinning, Rick replied that nothing. Maria disturbed his rest because he forgot to warn her. The hero put his hand to his face, hearing that he should apologize, to which he thought that for sure he treated the servants badly too. Closing his eyes, the protagonist said that everything was fine, she had done nothing wrong. Let her bring him a pen and paper, to which Rick asked again. The servant looked at him in shock and asked what he was going to do with the pen and paper, to which Logan replied that he should just take her away and bring him what he asked for. The pen and paper were lying on the desk. Having stood up, the hero said that thank you, he can go, and let no one come to him, to which Rick asked what he had just thanked him for. The protagonist frowned, hearing that he was sure that he was fine. His head did not hurt. The guy grinned, hearing that she was saying the same, he was fine. Let him go, to which he responded positively. Logan sighed, hearing that he should rest. He put his hand to his face when he heard that she had yelled at him, which meant he was healthy. Let him get back to work. Sitting at the desk, the hero thought that he should be patient. These were all results of his own actions. With wide eyes, he added that it was more important now to write down what would happen in the future. The banner was stuck in the ground. It was said that the war against the Empire was in 10 years, a catastrophe that would destroy not only his family, but also the entire nation. Holding a pen in his hands, the protagonist thought that his goal was to stop them. Raising the pen, he added that, but first, the warriors fought. The idea came that the vassal war, which would happen in a year, would begin suddenly and partly destroy his family, for which tough times would begin afterward. Putting his hand to his face, Logan thought about what he needed to prevent it, and then said that, but for this, the chess set stood on the desk. The door was closed. The man stood by the window and appeal was heard. Looking straight ahead, the father heard that he, the first young master, had come to see him. Looking to the side, he asked again. The boy walked straight. The girls exclaimed in surprise. The guys rushed forward. Logan was strolling down the corridor. Suddenly, the servant leaned to the side. She fell to the floor. The girl opened her eyes wide and thought, what to do now? Why did she have to fall in front of the young master? This is the end. Reaching his hand forward, the hero asked if she was not hurt. Grinning, the servant thanked him. The girl opened her eyes in surprise. Smiling, the protagonist said that she should not worry so much. Kneeling, the servant shouted that she was very guilty, asking for mercy, to which Logan asked, what was the matter? Why so suddenly? Putting his hand behind his head, he thought that the sudden change in his character seemed odd to them. It would take time for them to get used to it. Frowning, the hero added that he could only wait and show that he had become different. He smiled widely, thinking that she couldn't have reacted that way because of his scary smile. Or could she? Standing by the door, the servant said that the first young master had come to meet him. Looking straight ahead, the protagonist thought of his father. The man standing by the window said that he was no longer his son. A thought came that in his past life, he resented his father for many years after he had driven him away and considered him a cold-hearted man who had stopped holding out hope for his son. An image of his father appeared. It was said that he was a harsh father, cruelly banishing his own child and not even stopping by to visit, after he passed out from an injury in an official duel. Logan clenched his fist tightly, and thought how foolish he had been to think of him like that before. The doors to the room opened slightly. A thought came that having to drive away his own son would break any parent's heart. Grinning, the hero turned to his father. Standing by the window, Patrick heard a greeting. It was him, Logan. The man turned around. Looking straight ahead, he addressed. The protagonist raised his eyebrows and thought that his father. He pressed his lips together and added that he was truly sorry. Looking away, Patrick said that he looked better than he expected, asked what and why he came. Looking at him, Logan thought that he expected this, but he really was distant. Well, for him, 20 years had passed, and he saw his face every day, and then said that he came. The man frowned, hearing that because he wanted to ask permission to train alone near the family cemetery, to which he asked again. The knight held a shield in his hands. An idea came that was needed to win the regional war. The answer is simple: improve all the forces of the territory, make the knights and guards stronger, strengthen and create new weapons, and many other things. Frowning, the hero thought that in order to achieve all this, he needed money. The kingdom appeared. It was said that, but in Ares, the Mlanes are known as a poor family. They have no money. The image of a girl appeared. The thought came that, however, there is one way to quickly gain them. Thanks to the event that will happen in 3 months, he will be able to receive the amount of the annual family budget. Looking at his father, the protagonist thought that, but for this, he needs to sharpen his fighting skills and get the right to vote. And Patrick asked if he wants to run away because he lost to his younger brother. Looking straight, Logan answered that not at all. He realized how much he was falling behind, and albeit late, but he drew conclusions. Frowning, his father replied that as if the lack of effort was the only reason, in his opinion, he still has not come to his senses. Raising his eyebrows, the hero thought that it was quite expected that he would not believe him so easily, and then said that he understood that another problem was his behavior. Patrick closed his eyes and said that he was tired. All he ever did was talk. Turning around, he added that he should go away, to which the hero replied that he had been doing it all this time. Patrick frowned, hearing that instead of admitting his faults, he took his anger out on others. Looking down, the protagonist said that he was also very foolish and childish. Putting his hand to his chest, he added that this training, among other things, would help him gain control of himself. The man looked at him quietly, listening to him ask for permission. Looking at him, Logan heard that this time his words did not sound like a made-up excuse. Light was shining through the window. He heard how long he planned to train, to which the hero replied that about 3 months. The protagonist looked down, hearing that in his opinion, this was enough to catch up with Ran, to which he replied that his goal was not to defeat him. The man grinned when he heard that he had set a short term to simply get the most out of him. The hero smiled when he heard that he had indeed changed a little. Okay. He allowed it, to which he thanked his father. The protagonist turned around when he heard the address. Looking at the window, the man said that it was already spring, but the ground was still too cold to sleep on. Logan clenched his jaw when he heard that he should try not to freeze. He grinned and responded positively. Several days passed. The bag fell to the ground and it was said that here he was. Raising his head, the hero said that only immediate family members were allowed here, so no one would disturb him. Moreover, there was enough space for solo training. Opening the bag, he thought that he also could not let others see his training methods yet. Holding the book in his hands, the protagonist said that he found it. He smiled and added that the secrets of the divine blade, and then thought that in his past life, he memorized and burned this manuscript so that it would not fall into the hands of the Empire. The knight raised his weapon. It was said that the cover of the book was originally decorated with a golden falcon, and the contents described the secrets passed down by the hero of ancient times who defeated the evil dragon that ruled the world. Logan smirked and thought that he encrypted it using the secret code of the Independent Army so that no one could read it. The hero threw the book aside. A thought came that if the book was not a lie, after he mastered what was described in it, the aura masters of the Empire and even the archmages would no longer be scary to him. In his past life, his advanced age and lack of talent prevented this. But now, clenching his fist, he added that he had a chance. The life energy that changes the body is called strength. It is the basis of the secrets of the divine blade. A glow appeared near the hero, and he thought that he would have to focus this power in the heart and create a core. A tough task for a person with average abilities, and the past him would have already failed at this stage. But, closing his eyes, the protagonist thought that, as expected after returning to the past, he had a feeling that his power was working to its fullest extent. Now, 3 days and nights of hard effort would be enough to... Suddenly, Logan exclaimed in surprise. Looking at the core, he thought, wait, it was already created. The hero looked at the core in shock. A glow appeared around the heart. A thought came that while it was being born, very dense energy was boiling. Clenching his fist, the protagonist thought that the body absorbed it like the earth absorbs rain after a long drought. Holding the weapon in his hands, he added that if the contents of the secret manuscript are true... Suddenly, Logan kicked the ground. He frowned. The hero swung the weapon sharply. He smiled and said that it was amazing, and then thought that his physique and feelings had completely changed. They had adjusted to the need to master the blade. Looking straight ahead, the protagonist thought that he had no idea why the power core had formed so quickly. Raising his head, he added that, but at this rate, in 3 months he would become much stronger. Smiling, Logan said that it was great, he would continue training. A tree appeared in the forest. It began to get dark outside. Night fell. Dawn appeared outside. The hero stood still looking at the tree. He said that today was the last day of training, and then thought that out of the 10 blade techniques recorded in the secret manuscript, the strike that transcends space and time is a space-time slash. Grabbing the weapon, the protagonist thought that with a single one-star core, flames appeared around the hero, and he added that he could only reproduce the technique. Flames flew around his hands. Logan frowned and thought that he would definitely succeed. The hero struck and thought about the slicing wave. He used the wave split skill. The protagonist was breathing heavily. He crouched on the ground. Looking up, Logan laughed. He was looking at the trees. The hero closed his eyes and laughed loudly. Frowning, he thought that this power exceeded his expectations. A beginner would not be able to master such a technique. Looking at his hand, the protagonist added that even if he spent all his strength after the first strike, it was nice to have an ace up his sleeve. Clenching his fist, he added that he had achieved the goal of his training and could proudly report the results to his father. Frowning, Logan thought that he should wash himself before the visit. The banner stood on the tower. A question was heard about what he said. Smiling, the man said that he should forgive him, but the owner could not see him, asking him to leave. Looking at him, the hero asked why, was he unwell? Raising his hand, the knight said that the family law says that even relatives in a direct line cannot meet with the owner without prior notice. Asked if he had really forgotten. Rick, looking at the hero, said that these laws are already a couple of 100 years old, to which the protagonist replied that 3 months ago, he met with him without any problems. Smiling, the knight said that this only means that the guard did not do his job. A thought came that it was strange. In a past life, this did not happen. Suddenly, Logan heard that, curse it, the knight was breaking down on him. The knights were standing on the balcony. A thought came that the sound was coming from the house. It seemed that the force made his hearing sharper. It was said that, be that as it may, he was still the first master. Smiling, the guard said that he was a coward who ran away after losing to his younger brother. The knight understood that the kid would not be able to even squeak in response, and the other added that it was true that if something went wrong, he would fix everything. The thought came that he just needed to listen. Lowering his head, the hero thought that his reputation had fallen to the very bottom while he was training, so low that even the knights of his own family laughed at him. And the man said that next time, let him come when he was given permission in advance. The protagonist sighed and added that it was unpleasant. Of course, putting his hand under his clothes, he thought that he planned to show how he had changed and gradually improve his reputation, but then said that he should say his name. Frowning, the knight thought that he was getting it, and then introduced himself. Closing his eyes, Logan said, Dominion. Then the guards looked at him in shock, hearing that he was preventing him from meeting his father, citing the family law, which had practically outlived itself. Rick looked at him in surprise, hearing that he had also insulted him with his rude behavior. Frowning, Dominion wondered why the heck he had suddenly decided to use his authority, and the hero said that he, Logan, was for an unfair insult. Suddenly, he threw a glove in the knight's face. Frowning, the protagonist said that he was challenging him to a fight. They would have a duel. Looking at them, the guards asked what he was saying. Smirking, Logan asked why he was silent. Was he scared? Looking straight ahead, he added that he really had his tail between his legs in fear at the sight of a coward, as he was called in gossip. The knight raised his head. It was said that he believed that his best years were already behind him. Removing the glove, he said that it was good. Dominion squeezed his glove and said that he clenched his jaw fiercely. The hero smiled, looking at him. It was said that he was accepting the fight. The spears were standing by the wall. The protagonist stood in front of the knight. Looking straight ahead, the guard asked if the young gentleman would fight the knight, and the other added that he would lose. It was not even up for discussion. Logan threw his blade over his shoulder. It was said that he saw how Rainian beat him up. They say that after that, he disappeared for 3 months so as not to be seen by his brother. How long will this coward last? He bets 50 gold that he will not last even 10 minutes. The hero looked down, listening to that 10 minutes, bets 100 on 5 minutes, to which he thought that no one believed in his victory. Looking straight ahead, the protagonist heard that he looked relaxed. The knight clenched his jaw and said that he asked to take care of himself. Smirking, Logan thought that he had the nerve to agree to fight him, but to say nasty things in front of other knights was too much of a coward. Looking at him, Rick thought that, in the end, the young gentleman still went to the duel with him. Closing his eyes, he thought that they were done for. He heard Rick stop breathing. The man took a step forward. Closing his eyes, the knight shouted that the official duel between Logan and Sir Dominion was beginning. Raising his head, he added that, for safety reasons, the fight would be conducted with wooden blades. Looking to the side, the man said that now. The hero frowned, looking at him. Clenching his jaw, the knight thought that he really should continue. The young gentleman was very stubborn, he had no choice. Raising his hand, he added that they were already given wooden weapons, but knights mostly use force. So, even they are capable of killing a man. No matter what happens here, it is not his responsibility. But, reaching his hand forward, the man thought that Sir Dominion, for heaven's sake, go easy on him. Standing between the fighters, he added that they should begin. They held their blades in their hands. The man took a fighting stance. He stood at attention. The knight looked surprised, and asked if Sir Dominion was going to use force, and the other added that against an ordinary man, he would really give it his all. Rick chewed his fingers and questioned if it was unfair if the young lord got struck, and the warrior replied that he requested to be soft. The champion glanced away and considered that, well, this could frighten someone who was unaware. A light appeared around the man. The idea emerged that, though he was awkward with the strength, it radiated from him due to lack of mastery. Drawing the blade forward, the lead said that he noticed he was tense and asked what troubled him. The man clenched his jaw and thought that he was a youth. Gripping the blade firmly, he stated that he claimed his prime years were gone. The warrior leaned against the wall. It was noted that time moves Junior's ascent and status. Dominion, at 40, was the feeblest in the group of warriors and intended to quit. Staring ahead, the man pondered what to prepare for supper. The idea came that he was just tending to his own affairs while awaiting retirement. Grinning, Logan considered that he thought his finest years were past. Dominion bit his jaw hard and thought, why so? How bold of him. Abruptly he charged forward. Rick scowled and yelled that they must halt him. The young lord would perish, and the warrior responded that he himself had consented that they could proceed. Dominion thought as he dashed forward that he had already chosen to retire anyway. He swung his blade and said that he would thus end him with a hidden skill. The champion gazed at him quietly. The lead stepped forward. Bright rays appeared in the air. Logan blocked his strike. The man gritted his teeth. The blade dropped to the ground. A light swirled around the champion. The light glowed around the hand. It dimmed, and the lead said that he called himself a warrior. Looking down, he asked what? But this is his limit. The warriors stared in astonishment. People stood in shock. The warrior was kneeling, gazing ahead. The guard stated that it was unbelievable. He could not keep up. The first young noble, glancing aside, heard that he was using power, and he turned to the referee. Approaching him, the warrior replied, smiling. The lead said that he wished to offer Dominion another opportunity, and asked what he would respond. Looking at the warrior, the referee said, naturally. The man stared at his hand. It seemed like he was okay. A thought came: what on earth occurred? The champion tossed the blade over his shoulder. A thought emerged that he was weaker than this youth. Holding the blade in his hands, the man said no. Scowling, he shouted that it couldn't be. Lifting his blade, the lead thought that he was furious, pushing himself too much, and then said that he could. Suddenly, he hit the man and said that he could. Blood spurted from the warrior's nose. Logan glared at him angrily, clenching his jaw. He thought that he even gave another chance. The man clutched his face. The idea came that it was time for him to retreat in shame. The warrior gritted his jaw. Sitting on the ground, Dominion turned. Shutting his eyes, he said that he accepted defeat. Abruptly, the champion struck him. Pursing his lips, he thought that he had shown enough kindness to the servant who tried to defy his master. Now it was time to act. Scowling, the lead added that it was what he earned. Logan swung his blade. Strikes flew at the man. The people gazed at him in astonishment. It was heard that it was so harsh. Perhaps they would stop him. Staring ahead, the warrior asked if it was truly their young lord, and another added that how could he have transformed so much in 3 months, and not only awaken the strength, but even fully master the blade technique. The champion held the blade in his hands. It was noted that he had been a swordsman for many decades. The lead stood still. Gazing ahead, the referee said that he had triumphed. Logan glanced away, hearing his name. The office appeared. It was noted that it was remarkable. Standing by the window, Patrick said that it appeared that he had awakened and asked what had happened during practice. Gazing ahead, the champion thought that he had been observing them like that. Scowling, the lead replied that he had shed selfishness and was ready to release the past. While working with his mind, at some point, he felt how strength began to fill him. It was astonishing. Staring ahead, he thought that, in his former life, this is how he felt. Only after refusing to seek vengeance on his family, he gained power. Lowering his head, Logan thought that he barely managed to awaken after 40. It was noted that he came to a realization. He truly had changed. Glancing away, the man objected. Scowling, he asked if the first thing he did after gaining insight was to attack the warrior. Extending his hand forward, the champion answered that he deserved it. He heard the entire tale from the guards, right? Looking at him, the father replied that yes, and still asked if there was a need to go so far. Scowling, the lead answered that yes, there was. Raising his head, the man asked, what, truly? The warrior smiled. It was noted that the man was trying to trick his master's son and make him a mockery. If he had not stopped it, he would have weakened the order in their house. The pyramid appeared. It was said that the hierarchy is the foundation that allows the entire system to work. The tower fell. The thought came that, if it were to waver, the balance would be disrupted. The champion was lying on the ground. It was said that, moreover, during 10 years of life as a hired fighter, he realized that, when it comes to a group of armed men, defiance must be swiftly stopped at the root. Today's case will serve as a lesson to the other warriors. Gazing ahead, the lead heard that Dominion had certainly made a grave error. He forgot his duties and tried to deceive him. Scowling, the man said that, but he overdid it. Let him restrain himself. To which Logan thought that he forgave him so easily. Standing before him, Patrick asked if he wanted to be disciplined. To which the champion replied that he did not at all. Scowling, the father said that he did not consider his action right. Let him not repeat such mistakes. Let him not do anything like that without his approval. The champion scowled when he heard that he had not yet formally received his title, to which he replied that he would recall. The chess set was on the table, and he heard that he also had to discover something. Gazing ahead, the lead heard that his fiancée would soon visit them. Opening his mouth, Logan thought that she would finally arrive. The girl smiled, and the thought came that it was his. The man grinned, and the thought came that it was a gold mine. The girl stepped out of the carriage. She lifted her head up. The girl walked forward, and it was noted that Lady Rena had arrived. She took a step forward. The maids gazed at him in astonishment. The warrior looked at him in astonishment and said that the young lord was very fortunate. The girl shut her eyes and said that they had not met for a long time. Rena gazed ahead. She smiled and asked if he was doing well. Smiling, the man said that she had become a true lady. The boy looked at her in astonishment, thinking that he had seen her in youth. She had grown up to be an incredible beauty. The champion stood beside his father. He scowled. A thought came: what was wrong with this guy who should be happier than anyone? Extending her hand to the side, Rena said that she should permit him to read the letter that the count had entrusted to her. Holding the letter in her hands, she turned to Lord Patrick. The warriors gazed at her in astonishment, hearing that, this is what they hoped for. A thought came for how long. Gazing ahead, Rena said that, due to unavoidable situations, holding the letter in her hands, the girl said that she was requesting the end of the engagement. Having handed the letter, she added that that was all. The people gazed at her silently. The champion scowled and thought that he was avoiding the truth, but, in fact, he meant it. The man stretched his hand to the side and said that he thought Patrick would become a power user, but he had been a senior warrior for 20 years. Clenching his jaw, he added that, honestly, his son was even worse, so why would they lower their standards and join with him? The man waved and said farewell. Scowling, the lead thought about what he truly wanted to say. Gazing at him, Patrick said that ending the engagement without a proper cause. He clenched his jaw and added that House Wolves was trying to offend them. The warriors looked at him in fear. The girl widened her eyes and said that she supposed that he would see it that way. So, she asked to be allowed to deliver the message personally to clear any confusion. Tears appeared in her eyes, and she added that the memories of how she lived with them for a whole year as a child still stayed in her mind. Logan held her hand. It was noted that the moments created with young Lord Logan in this lovely and peaceful place, her young mind kept as a treasure. She had no wish to forget them. Rena shut her eyes and said that, but she was tied to her family and thus obliged to follow her orders. She thought it would be best to apologize to him and young Lord Logan in person. The girl put her hands to her face and exclaimed, and another added that her heart was as lovely as her appearance. The champion scowled and thought that it was a curse. Lowering her head, the girl asked what was the cause. Scowling, she added that she would like to hear about these unavoidable situations. Rena gazed at her. Glancing away, the lead thought that Marion, his stepmother, and Ronyan's biological mother, he added, scowling, that she had long considered him a foe because of the issue of succession, and so, as he thought, she would not meddle. But the honor of the family was another matter. Rena, lowering her head, said that they should forgive her. She could not tell them anything since she herself did not know the reason, to which she was asked if she did not know the details about her marriage. Lowering her head, the girl said that she was meant to marry and become part of another family. Her father did not discuss key decisions with her. Wide-eyed, Marion asked what was happening. She had come to tell about the end of the engagement. Without giving a cause, she believed that this was how they should accept it. Lowering her head, Rena said that, in return, the House of Wolves planned to pay. Extending her hand to the side, she added that 3 million gold as payment. Looking down, the man said 3. Wide-eyed, he shouted, 3 million. The champion grinned and thought, great, now if he can get that money. Patrick scowled and shouted, how dare they? The warrior clutched his face and said he was too powerful. The girl trembled in fear, and the warrior said she should stand behind him. Raising his head, he shouted that he, Rockran, a warrior of the House of Wolves, was calling out to him, asking him to calm down and continue the talk. Scowling, the man asked if he was a senior warrior, saying that was impressive for his age. The boy scowled when he heard that he believed that harming the rising star of the House of Wolves would be a fair trade for the shame of the dignity of the House of Lion. He shut his eyes. The man grabbed the railing when he heard the head of their house call him a man of honor. And he also said that they would not pursue the young lady and the younger warrior. Gazing at him, Rena said that they were not trying to buy honor with money, asking to accept them as a sign of a genuine attempt to keep the friendship between their houses, despite the upcoming public criticism due to the unavoidable situations. Clenching his jaw, Patrick thought that, if he kept pressing, he would become a dishonorable man. Scowling, he added that this was what he had been trying to achieve by sending 2 children here. Looking at him, the boy heard that a guest would remain a guest, even if he brought bad news. The Mlan house would not oppress them. Light shone from the window. It was noted that they would not accept the wolf's offer either, and would ask for only one thing for ending the engagement. Looking down, the man said that, let Rena politely apologize to his son, he would not accept any other payment. Grinning, the warrior said what was expected from their master, and another added that this was how nobles should be. Raising his hand, the champion addressed his father. Glancing to the side, he said that, as a person concerned about the break in the engagement, he wanted to ask for something. The lead's eyes widened, and he said that he would be so kind as to listen to him, and then he thought that they needed money. He was going to let them just apologize. This was mad. 3 million was their house's yearly budget. The woman glanced away, and he thought that half of the amount was coming from his stepmother's family as aid. Once it was stopped, they would go broke, and then what? Scowling, Logan thought that he didn't understand what he was doing. They had to get those 3 million at any cost. Looking at his father, the champion said that he would like to accept the offer of the wolf's house. To which he asked again, Scowling, Patrick asked if he wanted to make him retract his words. The lead clenched his jaw and thought about how much pressure there was, even without a power, but he was a senior warrior. Clenching his fist, he added that it was a pity that, compared to others, it was a small matter. If he couldn't settle everything now, he would never progress further. Looking at the champion, Patrick said that their house was not so poor that they would give up their honor for money. Logan sighed deeply. Gazing at him, he said, "No, just that much." To which the man asked again. The champion scowled and shouted that, right now, they owed the bank $3 million. Clenching his fist, he added that the yearly interest was $150,000, right? Extending his hand forward, the lead shouted that, without support, they would go bankrupt. Standing before his father, he added that, even the great house of the poor, they would come to an end. Lowering his head, Logan thought that he wanted to say so, but, since this was a formal meeting, he would have to hold back. The palace appeared. It was noted that the reason why they should accept these $3 million. The man scowled, hearing that it was exactly an honor. To which he asked what it meant for her sake. He wanted him to retract his words. Looking at him, the champion said that he should forgive him. But the House of Wolves was superior to them, and the Count also ruled the East. The warrior glanced away, and it was noted that, even though his forces were located there, they did not serve him, afraid that a simple apology would lead to the spread of rumors that they were trying to please the wolves. Raising her head, Rena said that her family was reasonable. Extending her hand forward, she added that they respected the honor of the House of Mlan greatly, to which the lead replied that she had come to end the engagement. Clenching his jaw, he added that, if he kept talking about reasonableness, he should not make a fool of himself. Rena scowled upon hearing this. It was noted that, in his former life, he believed that Rena was sincerely upset by the unavoidable breakup. But before it happened, standing by the wall, the girl said that she thanked him for coming. Today they would part. She smirked and added that she wanted to create one last memory with him. Looking at her, the champion turned, and then thought that his life as a young lord was ruined, and the decision to risk everything for the sake of the woman he loved by escaping seemed best to him. Extending his arms out to the sides, the lead said that they would flee tonight. He opened his eyes in astonishment. A light appeared from the book. Logan froze in shock. He swung his blade sharply. The girl smirked and asked him what he thought. Someone like him could possess her. She said that he should know where his place was and leave. Looking at the girl, the champion heard that he had lost to the boy. Why did he need a blade at all? He himself had made it easier for her. Thank you for that. To which he asked what she was talking about. Rena lowered her head and screamed. Suddenly, the warrior burst into the room and shouted. The girl started to cry, saying that Mr. Logan had suddenly started to act aggressively. Scowling, the lead thought that she had trapped him. He had been guilty of many misdeeds, and the family no longer trusted him. Smiling, Logan thought about how, in the end, the Mlanes had to apologize to the wolves and pay a huge payment, because of which he could no longer trust women. Damn, the girl glanced away. A thought occurred to him that he was certain that this time she was planning to profit and flee, having achieved the breakup of the engagement. What a shame. Looking at her, the champion thought that now she would not succeed. The lead stood still, thinking about how at first, he had planned to improve his reputation in the family. It seemed to him that, if he slowly showed himself from a new side, this would convince people about him, and one day the family would also rethink their attitude towards him. Gazing ahead, he added that these were his thoughts. Fragments of memories appeared. It was noted that, but the fight with Dominion made it clear that the guards were ignoring the fact that they were clearly showing disrespect to him. And during his absence, many rumors had also spread. Logan glanced away and wondered if it was possible to influence his family by gaining recognition from such people. Scowling, he added that there were 9 months left until the regional war. His reputation was unimportant now. Grasping the railing, the champion thought that he had to save his family. Looking at the girl, he said that he accepted her offer of payment despite the family's wishes. Rena's eyes widened in astonishment. Scowling, Patrick shouted that how dare he oppose his will. Gazing ahead, he heard that empty apologies did not suit him if their honor was worth only a few words that would vanish in thin air. The lead scowled and said that her value was just as weightless. Rena clenched her jaw tightly. She lowered her head and said that they, the wolves, would submit to the will of the Lord Master of House Mlan. Standing before them, the girl asked what his final decision was. Rena glanced away, scowling. Logan thought that she was saying this to save her father's reputation. She was probably bursting inside with the thought of having to pay $3 million. Gazing ahead, Patrick said that, as a representative of House Mlan, a sincere apology was enough for him. The night stood still, and it was noted that, however, the final decision. Scowling, the man said that for Logan. Looking at him, the woman turned. Rena raised her head up. She angrily clenched her jaw. The champion glanced away hearing that, but let him be cautious. Standing before him, his father said that, if he sold his honor, then in the future, he would be more willing to agree to such a trade. Patrick silently looked forward.